Hello, everybody, and welcome along to the first of what I do hope in the lead up to the season will be the first of many breaking news pods here on the Rangers Rabble. Welcome along. Joining me today is Wilf and Stu. Guys, hello. I would do all the usual intro stuff, but we're going to keep this brief. For those of you who are watching, please do like and subscribe on YouTube. We've got our subscriber target for the end of the season, 10,000. So if we could reach that, that would be phenomenal. So yeah, hello and welcome. If you're watching on Twitter, give us a wee like and a retweet and a comment as well, because they come up on the screen. So Allan McGregor has signed a 1-year contract extension. Had this been 3 or 4 years ago, I think we would have all been jumping for joy. Didn't have, I suppose you could say, the best season last season. We all expected, and before we come to the actual contract extension, Wilf, and I'll come to everybody in the comments in a minute, but just quickly, we all expected, Wilf, after the Scottish Cup final, that was just kind of swan song coming on for the last minute, and now he's signed a 1-year extension. Are you surprised, and have the club made the right move?
Yes, I'm surprised, particularly after what happened at Hampden with bringing him on for the last minute, just to so that he's actually played a part in a Scottish Cup medal as he got. I mean, that was his 4th Scottish Cup medal and the first time he's been on the pitch at any point, I believe. So yes, I was surprised after that, and I'm not at all convinced by it. I mean, I love Allan McGregor. He's, for me, and I don't want to reopen the argument, he's the second best goalkeeper I've ever seen play for Rangers, and I'm not reopening that argument. Everybody's got their own opinion on it, and that's fine. But he's certainly in the top 2, I would say, of everybody's in living memory, if you like. I mean, I can't comment about guys like Jerry Dawson and things like that because, well, that's even before my time, believe it or not. But it's between him and Andy Gorham. For me, it's Gorham, but other people know McGregor, and that's fine. I get that. But I mean, I'm on record. If you go through the archive on this, I'm on record as saying that we shouldn't be offering Allan McGregor another year, whether he wanted one or not. If he wanted to carry on playing, he need to do it somewhere else, because he's starting to make mistakes. Still a great shot stopper, but he's starting to make mistakes. I mean, he didn't come for a lot of cross balls. Last season, he didn't come for any. Teams were just bombarding our 6-yard box with free kicks and corners. Mm-hmm. And it cost us. I mean, he made a few. Goalkeepers are going to make errors, but Father Time's catching up with his body. He's not as supple as he used to be. He's not as probably as switched on as he used to be. Just, it's one of those things. Just the age gets to you. I mean, Craig Gordon's still doing it at 42, but he's still not the keeper he was.
But Craig Gordon had quite a few years out with a really bad injury, so maybe that would help prolong his career. And Craig Gordon was by a country mile the best goalkeeper in Scotland last season, and is still a phenomenal goalkeeper.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's probably got less miles on the clock because of the injury. He lost a good couple of seasons of injuries because we got him fit again. Then he fucked off and signed for somebody else. But that's another story. But no, I mean, I'm on record, as I say, as saying that last season should have been his last season with Rangers. I wish him all the best. I can't see him coming to sit on the bench, so I've got a feeling he's going to come back in his first choice, which leaves me to question where that leaves John McLaughlin, because before he signed a 2.5-year extension, he must have made some assurances, and I can't see at 33 him saying, "Yeah, I'm quite happy to sit on the bench again." And talking about our other goalkeepers, to me it means Robbie McCrorie will be leaving, because I can't see him staying as third choice at 24 years old. And another year or low won't benefit him any. So I can see Robbie McCrorie leaving in the next few weeks.
Just before I come to yourself, Stu, I've got a sneaking suspicion, and I'm not psychic or anything, but I would imagine that most of the comments will be negative, which is fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. So please do get your comments in. I will bring some up. We will discuss what you say. I would be really interested to see if there's anybody who's happy, who's excited about McGregor signing a 1-year deal. If you are, please do get in the comments and we'll bring them up and discuss them as well. Because this isn't about bashing McGregor. That's the last thing anybody wants to do. We all love Allan McGregor. He's a Rangers legend. But if you feel that somebody's time's up, then you're well within your rights to say that somebody's time is up. So I'm just going to come to a few comments. John Scott, McLaughlin has to be number 1. Callum, It's a joke. The man should have left. CRS, as much as Griggs is a legend, I'd have seen him leave. He's aging and his ability has declined. The club need to learn when to move on rather than trying to hold on to the past. We will come to the club in a wee minute. Yes, Big Hans is staying for another year. Show his upcoming keepers the ropes. Show the up and coming keepers the ropes. That could very well be a positive. Thomas is saying, looks like we are keeping players around for the dressing room as much as the pitch. Few people have been saying that, Stu. Look, he's phenomenal experience to have in the dressing room. He knows what Rangers is all about. He's a winner. He always wants to win. But like Wilf says, is Allan McGregor the type of guy who's going to sign on to be that coach in the background? Or is he somebody that's signing on because he wants to play football?
Well, I feel like they said recently that when we first said about him going into coaching, that wasn't in his plans at all. Sorry, go away. Go away. Sorry, kids coming in.
If it's not dogs, it's kids.
Yeah, so I saw something saying that the coaching wasn't what interested him yet. So, I mean, if it was that, I would have been happy enough. But I don't think he's going to be happy to sit on the bench. And he is a winner. He's great to have in the dressing room because he is one of those pure winners that you see him on the pitch all the time. He demands the best, and maybe we don't have enough players that have that mentality. But I thought last season was one too many for him, to be honest, and I thought he threw in about 6 or 7 goals. It's so underwhelming, and it feels like much like last season, we're standing still again.
Yeah, gallant pioneer. Love it, lads. Breaking news, and you have a pod up in jig time. That's how you run a Rangers YouTube channel. Gallant. We always try our best. I'm always trying to think of new things to do. Try and keep it fresh and stuff like that. So we always try and provide the best content that we can. There was a couple of comments that I did want to bring up. Gallant again, actually. Well, I saw the video Rangers released there of McGregor, and it makes me think he is going to stay as number 1. Would it be a major shock now that he's signed a contract if he did stay as number 1? But would there be a lot more pressure on him going into next season?
I'd be astounded if he's not number 1 next season. Absolutely astounded. And if he's not number 1, how much pressure does that put on McLaughlin with him sitting right behind him? You know, I mean, look at the Man United thing when Ferguson left. Ferguson had a legacy at Man United. He left as manager, but he was still at the club. And how many managers failed with him breathing down their neck? You know what I mean? You have McGregor breathing down McLaughlin's neck if he's not number 1. So it's an awful lot of pressure on John. But as I said earlier, I can't see McGregor agreeing to stay if there's not assurances, because nobody's guaranteed a game. But if they're not saying, look, you're coming back in as number 1, and unless you get injured or absolutely throw 2 or 3 in, the job's yours. I mean, I saw a thing that when it was getting talked about over the weekend on social media, somebody suggested that McLaughlin for domestic games and McGregor in Europe. That would work. I mean, I'd have no issue with that, because in Europe it's more shot stopping than coming for crosses usually. That's not my dog, by the way, for a change. But I don't know. I can't see McGregor coming to sit on the bench, and I can't see him coming in a coaching role. I mean, I've seen suggestions he does what Andy Firth used to do. I've got no idea what Andy Firth's role was, so I don't know if that is even a role.
No, I mean, look, Fog Dog, last channel member, last season was one too far. Scottish Cup final appears like a farce now. Should have bowed out with the Scottish Cup. Yeah, there's a question that's come in, and it's just slightly off topic, Stu, but I think it actually does merge in with McGregor signing a new deal. Barry Cow's asking, do you guys think they're waiting for us to sell? The board are waiting to sell before we sign anyone? And is this a sign also with Arfield and Davis? Although I understand the Davis re-signing a lot more than I do Arfield, but we've now got Davis, Arfield, and McGregor signing, and we haven't signed anybody yet. Now, I know the transfer window's not long opened. There's plenty of time to go. We don't play our first game until the 30th of July. But has Barry got a point?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's tough to say because we don't know what they're doing behind the scenes. I hope that we're looking at signing players. if it's the case that we have to sell after this European run, then that's really worrying, because what is this team going to look like for the new season? I saw someone put up a graphic on Twitter earlier about like a joke saying, "Oh, the Rangers starting 11," and it's just like this starting 11 that we've had all season, bar maybe John Suter comes in, and it's no one's leaving. Who's gonna? There's a few things from Morelos. Have we got replacements lined up? If that's what we're doing, if we're waiting to sell, have we got replacements lined up to come straight in and take their spots? I don't think so. I don't know. I'm at a loss with it, to be honest. I hoped we'd have one, maybe two in already, ready to go for the new season, especially with Europe. We stood still last year in Europe, and we paid a massive price for it in the Champions League. Obviously, we had the run after, but that was from standing still in the Champions League qualifiers. It's massively worrying if that's what we're doing. If we're waiting to sell before buy, and we've already thought that maybe Aribo's staying now, so that's one of your sort of chunks of money that if you are going to rebuild a team, if he's staying, that's you're not getting that money for him. Morelos' last year contract, Kent's last year the contract. So how much could we realistically bring in to then go out other than Bassey?
Well, Jordan Rennie's making the point. Well, out so far, and it's none. And we've re-signed
Balogun.
Well,
Balogun, of course. Balogun and Cedric Itten, actually, I forgot.
But Balogun only went because his contract ran out.
Yeah.
The only one who actually sold Cedric Itten. But I mean, I'm not too concerned about the lack of transfer activity, because the window's not long open, and the internationals only finished about 3 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're looking to sign players of a quality, then they're going to be international quality, and they're probably still, the ones we want are probably still on holiday because they've been playing international football. I would imagine. I mean, I'd imagine agents are working quite hard in the background and stuff like that. Same with players going out. I mean, if anybody's seriously going to come in with a bid for Calvin Bassey, they're only going to start looking at it now because he only finished playing last week.
Yeah.
Because Nigeria only finished playing 5 or 6 days ago. So I'm not overly concerned. I do worry that all we're doing is that we're standing still. Because if we're standing still, effectively we're going backwards. That never works. I mean, even go back to David Murray's days. We brought in players after we get knocked out of Europe. I mean, look at the 2008 Manchester run. Get to Manchester, losing the final, play Canus the European qualifier the next season, get beaten in Canus, and then the next day we're signing players, which you should have signed to make sure we got by Canus.
Well,
repeat that.
Wolf channel member actually, Blue Thunder's making that point exactly. The club is acting as if it's going backwards instead of forwards. But we do have to put that into perspective. The transfer window isn't long open. There's every possibility that the board have got 3 or 4 players lined up that they want to sign, and it's just taking a bit of time to get it over the line or whatever. And I'll come to you in a second, Stu. I'll just stay with you, Wolf. But re-signing Arfield, Davis, and now McGregor, when I'm no coach, I'm no manager, right? I'm just a fat guy who talks about Rangers. But it did look as if he was past his best. And for the simple fact that we haven't signed anybody yet, and we've re-signed 3 aging, I think is fair, players, it does give that impression that the board are really standing still.
I'm surprised that we re-signed Arfield and Davis. I expected one of them to re-sign.
Yeah.
And when one re-signed, I didn't expect to get the second one. McGregor re-signing is a complete shock to me, because, as I say, after the Scottish Cup thing, I thought that was him away. As a few comments have been coming in, he should probably have gone on a high when we won the title. When we won the 55th league title, he should probably have gone then. And then the farce that was the end of the Scottish Cup final, bringing him on, it made it look like he was going. I'm worried, because love McGregor, as I said at the start, he's one of the best 2 keepers I've ever seen play for Rangers. But he could taint his legacy if he stays and throws one in that ultimately costs us something.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure. I think he's done too much, and I think he's won too much to taint his legacy. But then I could be completely wrong. I really don't want to be too negative towards McGregor, because McGregor, of course, any player, especially if they love the club, Stu, they want to stay as long as they possibly can. And look, let's maybe try and spin a slight positive, although most of the comments aren't. Allan McGregor could, shut us all up by having an absolutely phenomenal season. I don't think we should ever because he didn't have the best season. But I don't want to doubt somebody who is a phenomenal goalkeeper, even if he is past his best.
Yeah, his best, his ceiling was so much higher than a lot of others. So his best, even if it's not his very best, is still better than the majority of our league. The problem I have is it's not just the commanding of the area, the command of the box, where they lump crosses on top of us and he stays on his line, and that's caused us countless problems, countless last minute goals. But it's just like the uncharacteristic errors he's making as well. Like he's getting slower going down for shots, and there was a few like I felt that in the 3-0 defeat at their place, he could have got, he could have got that one. I think it was just past him in the corner. He's not the keeper he was, and my worry is McLaughlin's already. How old is McLaughlin now? 33, 34?
33.
Yeah. So he's not a spring chicken, is he? Are we really going to tell him, oh no, you have to sit on the bench for one more season until?
From a selfish point of view, though, Stu, as a fan or a manager of the club, and like I say, this is just a pure, totally selfish point of view. I'm delighted if McLaughlin's your number 2 goalkeeper. Even if we bring another goalkeeper in, or McGregor's the first choice or whatever, I think John McLaughlin's a fantastic goalkeeper. So just purely from a selfish Rangers point of view, if we have him as a second choice goalkeeper, I'm delighted. Although I understand he wouldn't be. Do you think McLaughlin knew McGregor was going to sign a new deal before he signed his? Do you think this could cause any upset or unrest?
I think if he had any inkling, he would have maybe thought McGregor was going to stay in a player coaching role. Maybe. I think he thought this was his number 1 jersey from this season, and I can't blame him, to be honest. He's never put a foot wrong for us. And I think we've seen it, and it's more of a modern thing, but having the keeper that can play with the ball at his feet. The amount of times we beat a press because John McLaughlin can take the ball in at his feet and pick out a pass is quite incredible. McGregor can't do that. If anyone looks at him, he's pumping that ball straight up the pitch. I'm not a big fan of it. I think his time, he came up in the perfect era for him for a shot-stopping keeper. And I think it was two. I think this is 2 seasons too many. Sorry, I think this is 2 seasons too many for him. And yeah, like Wilf said, I think he should have gone when we won the league, pretty much.
Martin, the distribution bit worries me as well. I mean, we're bringing in Suter. I wouldn't be at all surprised if we're looking to play 3 at the back. Certainly in some games next season. And with McGregor's distribution, he's not the keeper for playing 3 at the back. I'm sorry, he just isn't, because he's not very good with the ball at his feet. And
sorry, guys.
I can see us playing 3 at the back more than playing 4 at the back next season.
But Wilf, we also have to remember, right, that we don't know what's happening with McGregor in terms of, is he going to be the first choice? Is he going to be backup or whatever? Is it going to be more of a coaching role? But there's no way he's signing a new deal if Gio doesn't want him.
No, absolutely, 100%. No, you're right. And we've got to trust the manager and all his staff. But again, it's the one I trot out all the time. How much? I mean, is Ross Wilson not identifying potential new goalkeepers? And if he is, has he been told he can't sign them because they're too expensive or the wages are too dear?
Well, yeah, Ross Wilson.
Is that why we've got? Because he's obviously McGregor's going to be on less money than he was on before.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to think. Are they going with better the devil? Could be any number of things. It is a bit worrying though that we're not spending money. I don't want to go and just spend money for the sake of spending money, but it is a bit worrying that we're not looking to freshen the team up. And as we've said, it's still early in the transfer window, and I'm big on saying that. But we really, I mean, the players come back starting in a week's time. Okay, the international players get a bit longer, but we need to be bringing players in or getting rid of players that we don't want. We've still got players that we should really be getting rid of. They need to give us an indication of what we're doing.
Do you think, just on that, Wilf, and I'll come back to you in a wee second, Stu. Yes. Do you think, Wilf, that the club would have known? Because let's look, the club are always looking at everything, right, across all social media. The club aren't stupid, right? Yeah. The club know everything, pretty much everything that's going on with the fans, because they'll be watching everything. So there's no part of me that doesn't believe that the club would have known that this wouldn't have got the best press Sometimes the club announce stuff and you think, well, you know, what are you that disengaged for the fans that you've not got a clue what's happening, right? But there's no part of me that doesn't believe that the club would have known, that the majority of the supporters would have probably thought this was a bad idea. So in saying that, Wilf, do you now expect to see one or two signings pretty soon?
Possibly. Yeah, you might be onto something. I mean, it's announcing it at what, quarter to 5 on a Monday afternoon when there's not really a lot of news over the weekend. That's a surprise, because people have been itching for news the whole weekend. They've been itching for news for the last few days.
Been itching for news for weeks.
Something they know is going to be quite divisive with the support. I mean, just look at Twitter. Twitter's in meltdown, and most of it is,
some stuff's been a bit out of order, I have to say. Look, this guy's a legend of our club, and
I'll never decry Allan McGregor. The guys, I keep saying he's the second best goalkeeper I've ever seen in the Rangers jersey, and I'm hoping that this time next year you can show me this back and say, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, but,
the man's just won his treble, he's won his Champions League, he's won his Eurovision Song Contest. You know what I mean? We've won the Derby, the whole lot. You know what I mean? Can I just say to that point, Wilf, right? There'll be people watching, maybe not particularly this podcast, but any podcast that we do. See, whenever somebody on here criticises or whatever, see the best thing that for that person, and I'll guarantee anybody on the rabble will admit this. See, if that player then proves them wrong, nothing makes you happier. Absolutely nothing makes you happier. 100%, absolutely 100%. I love being wrong, and I don't often criticise players, but when I do, I love it when they prove me wrong. I absolutely love it when they prove me wrong, because the most important thing is Rangers at the end of the season waving shiny things at me.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, look at Scott Wright. I've been one of Scott Wright's biggest critics since he came into the club, and he shoved those words right down my throat at the end of last season, the last 6 weeks of the season.
Yeah,
you know, and I'm delighted to sit here and say, Scott Wright, you proved me wrong. Perfect. Hope McGregor does the same.
Yeah, listen, absolutely. Now, this also has ramifications too, I suppose.
Sorry, it's what?
Ramifications.
Oh, yes. Right. Yeah, that's a good one for you.
It's in my word of the day calendar up there. For Robbie McCrorie, Stu, we can talk about John McLaughlin all we want. Obviously, there was links to, which I couldn't believe, Robbie going to Manchester United and stuff like that. I think he's never really played for Rangers. But he did, of course, play that Old Firm game, and I thought he was outstanding. And there was a part of me that was thinking this season it's going to be John McLaughlin as first choice, which I would have been more than happy with. I think John McLaughlin's a fantastic goalkeeper. And Robbie's second, who would play the cup games, get a bit of experience, and then going forward, Robbie would be the number one goalkeeper for Rangers. With McGregor re-signing, if it is with a view to be playing, which I think most of us believe it is, what does that say for Robbie McCrorie? And Folgy's making the point. Look, if I was McCrorie, I'd be putting in a transfer request. It's
a difficult one because you need three decent keepers at the club. You can't rely on a youth keeper as your third choice. Do we know how long McCrorie's got left?
I don't know. I would need to ask Wally Irwin.
No. Yeah, it's a strange one. I wouldn't be happy if I was him. He's 24 now, and he is going to get to that age where he needs to be playing every week as a keeper. I thought like you would be McLaughlin number one and McGregor, and we don't know. You know, it could still be McLaughlin number one and McGregor number two. I know we don't think McGregor would accept that, but he might have to if that's what Gio thinks. You know, I don't think he would turn down a deal if we offer it to him and it's decent enough. But yeah, if I'm McCrorie, I'm chapping his door, because I don't think you're not going to want to go out on loan again, are you? Like, I know he's not had. Livy was probably the highest level he's gone to on loan, and I know it worked for McGregor sort of later on, but as he went out to St Johnstone, didn't he? And I think it was Dunfermline, but I don't know. It's
Queen of the South as well.
Queen of the South, yeah. And McCrorie, I think he needs that game time, because he started off well at Livy and then he fell into second choice there. He needs games, and he's shown in the Old Firm what he can do. And I think that for him warrants him saying, well, I should be second choice here. I don't see why I'm sitting behind a 41-year-old guy, as good as he's been, and you know, he's a legend in the club, but we can't have sentiment anymore. And signing these three aging guys, you know, with the news we had with Goldson, how ecstatic everyone was that.
Yeah.
And it's just gone downhill ever since, which is absolutely mental. Unless it is what you say, and we've got one or two, you know, up our sleeve and coming very soon to sort of like put this negative news out. Well, not negative news, but not the best news out before we come with the big stuff.
Just Wilf, RFC 56 is saying, look, McLaughlin number 1, McGregor number 2, McCrorie the future, good loan and new contract. Is Robbie McCrorie going to accept being put out on loan again? He's 24. He's a good age. I understand goalkeepers always going that a little bit longer, but if you're a 24-year-old goalkeeper, you want to play in first team games.
Yeah, I mean that comment saying a good loan. For Robbie McCrorie, a decent loan would have to be
Hearts, and he's not going to go to Hearts.
Well, he's not going to go there because they've got Craig Gordon. We need to be top 6 in Scotland or the top end of the English Championship. You know what I mean? I can't see them taking a punt on
his contract's up in 2023
on McCrorie. But what also concerns me, just sitting here thinking when Stu was talking, right? It's not only McCrorie. What does it say about the keepers coming up behind him?
Yeah,
you probably got Jay Hogarth, who I would have expected to come in as third choice. If it was McLaughlin, McCrorie, and then a youth keeper, I'd expected Jay Hogarth to step up. What does it say to him? What does it say to the guys behind him? They're now a year further down the line. Did they go out on loan? Which possibly leaves the B team short of a keeper.
Mm-hmm.
It's got quite a lot of ramifications going all the way down. But I think if I was Robbie McCrorie, I'd be looking for a move, because 24, you need a bit of stability in your life. Does he want another year somewhere to come back to Rangers to possibly then have to leave after that? Because who knows what's going to happen this time next year?
Mm.
I mean, say it is McLaughlin first and McGregor second. The McLaughlin has an absolute stormer. Then McCrorie's still no closer to the number 1 jersey. So you know what I mean? If I was him, I'd probably be looking for a move. But I wouldn't, because I'm fucking Rangers staff. I'd be quite happy. I'd be quite happy to sit there doing Andy Firth. You know what I mean? But
yeah. I'd love to be able to stand at the door and just say hello to people as they walk in the building,
Unless McCrorie has already signalled that, unless he's already told the club he's a year left on his deal and he is going to start looking at his options, he might have had interest. Maybe that's why we've pulled the trigger on McGregor.
Well, Stu, I think I said this before we started, although I'm not trying to take the limelight off a Curry Muncher, but has this got anything to do with not getting Seagrass? I don't know if we were in for him or not, right? But is it got anything to do with maybe not getting a goalkeeper and it's a panic extension? I mean, I don't think it is, but your opinion?
No, I don't think so. I wouldn't have. I think Seagrass is much like a poor man's McGregor anyway. He's a great shot stopper, not very good with his feet. So I would hope with the sort of club we've begun to build now, that we do look for a keeper that fits into our tactic, and I think as a Dutch manager, Dutch coach, Gio would like that as well. I know McGregor does break the mold a little bit because of how good he has been, but I don't think we were ever really in Seagrass. I think it was just an easy link to make.
Yeah, and Scott Robertson saying I'd have cleaned Andy Firth's boots. Gone for the easy job because they were never dirty, were they? But look, well, just to kind of finish up, and I suppose people will kind of know the answer from the conversation that we've just had, but is this positive or negative for Rangers, and where does this sit with the fans, do you think?
It seems to be fairly negative with the fans from what I've seen since it broke, on our comments and on social media. And I know you can't really, I hold more store in what our contributors are saying than what it says on social media, because social media is full of idiots, including me.
Yeah, and me. To
be perfectly honest, I mean, I'm a bit of a social media whore, but I don't know. I think. I don't think we should have re-signed him, but I'm very, very, very happy to be proven wrong, and I hope I'm proven wrong.
Play Thunder, Stu's saying no, it's a sentimental signing, no room for sentiment. Do you go along with that?
Yeah, I think so. I remember when I was a kid seeing a quote from Andy Gorham at the time, said he hopes he's at Rangers so long they have to kick him out of the club, and he never made it to this age of Rangers. So I don't think we can have that sentiment. We'll never deny what he's done for the club, but I think it's now 2 seasons too many. If he is the number 2, it's not a bad number 2 to have, but I do think he's stifling McCrorie a little bit then. But yeah, it's completely sentimental for me.
Well, Graham Ross, is this confirmed? Yes, Graham, it is. Rangers confirmed that Allan McGregor has signed a year's contract extension. Fog Dog, we didn't put the foot down last summer when we were on top. Looking like another poor summer window. We're just into it. Listen, in a couple of days, there could be a breaking news pod and we're all jumping for joy. So you just never know. Nicholas Moore, this is a big mistake. Time will tell. Time will absolutely tell. But I'm not writing off any Rangers player. And I'm certainly not going to write off Allan McGregor. Because you just never know. And I'd love us all to be proved wrong for the despondent. Who would have thought you'd ever react kind of negatively to Allan McGregor signing a contract extension? But there you go. Right. Okay, this was just a quick breaking news pod. Thank you all for tuning in. Please do like and subscribe. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube with the wee notification bell thingy, and then you know exactly when we come on, because throughout the summer transfer window we will be doing breaking news stuff. If anybody signs or anybody high profile leaves or contract extensions, etc., give us a follow on social media. All the pods and shows are available to download about an hour or an hour and a half, as Wilf likes to remind me, after the show is finished, and are available on Acast, iTunes, Spotify, etc., and of course we're available on the Sports Social Network. So yeah, thank you to everybody for tuning in, and here, let's hope that we're speaking again very, very soon.